Hello and welcome to another video on frequency tables. Now in the previous video we looked at calculating the mean from a frequency table. Now in this video we're going to carry on looking at averages, but this time we're going to focus on the median and the mode, and we're also going to take a look at the range. So if you haven't already, I encourage you to watch that video on calculating the mean from a frequency table. It will be in the corner, one of these corners. I'm not sure which corner YouTube places it in, but it'll be at the top of the screen here. And that's definitely the hardest one to calculate, so hopefully these aren't as bad. So first of all, let's have a look at calculating the mode. Now, what does mode mean? Well, mode is the most common or the most popular. So when you've got a list of data, it's which number or which thing appears the most often. Now, it's quite hard to see from this table which one appears the most often. We've got quite a lot of ones, quite a lot of twos, and a lot of threes. But if we take a look at our frequency table, we can see straight away which one is the most common, and we just need to look in the frequency column. So you can see here, if we go down, you can see that 26, that's the highest frequency. So which category is that? Well, that's 2. So 2 goals were scored on the most number of occasions. So our answer for the mode, so this one here will be 2. And we better write in 2 goals as well, just to give ourselves a bit of context. So 2 goals was the most popular or the most common number of goals scored. Okay, now let's focus on the median. The median's a bit trickier to calculate, but first of all, what does it mean? Well, the median is the middle number. So we've got a list of data here, and it's all in order, so it goes from smallest to largest, and what we're looking at is the number that's dead right bang in the middle. Okay, it's right bang in the middle. So again, from here, it's quite hard to see. Would it be 2 or 3? Not too sure, but we can use our frequency table to calculate that. And notice I've got another column here. Now, this final column that I'm going to draw in, this or fill in, this is going to be called cumulative frequency. Now, all cumulative frequency means is that we're adding up the frequencies as we go along. So if we start at 0, you can see that there are 9 zeros. So we're starting off at 9. Now we've got another 23 ones. So if we were to carry on, if we were to count the number of numbers from 0 to until we get to this point here, well, how many have we got? Well, we've got these first 9, and then we're adding on these next 23. So when we get to here, we're going to have 32 numbers in total, because all I've done is I've added these together. Now, if we do the same thing, if we keep going, so if we add on the 2s until we get to here, you can see we've got another 26 2s. So I'm just going to add on 26 to 32, and that gives me 58. So all we're doing is we're just adding the next frequency in the list. So the next one, the end of the 3s, which is here, we're going to add on 20. So 58 plus 20 is 78, and then we're going to add on 12. That takes us to 90. And then plus 6 is 96, plus 8 is 104, plus 4 is 108, plus 1 is 109, and finally plus 3 is 112. And you'll notice that this number here should be the same as this number, okay? Because now we've got to the end of the 9, so now we're here. So all we're thinking about is how many numbers have we got in total. Well, we've got 112 numbers in total. We've done it correctly because we're told there are 112 matches. So why is this useful? Well, now we can calculate what the middle number is. Now, if we know that there's 112 matches, what you might be tempted to do is just divide that by 2 to get the middle number. So if we did do 112 divided by 2, we would get 56. So you might think, well, it's the 56 match that is the median, but it's ever so slightly different to that. So what we have to do is we have to add 1 to this number and then divide by 2. So what we're going to do is 112 plus 1 and then divide by 2. Now, if you're wondering why we add 1, if you think that's a bit strange, then I have got a video dedicated to this, and I'll go into a lot more detail as to why we add 1 to this number, and hopefully it will make sense after watching that. I haven't actually made that video yet, but I'll probably do that next week. So I'm just going to work this out, and I get 56.5. So 56.5. So what that means is we're going to look at the match between, so we're going to take the 56th match and the 57th match, and it's got to be right bang in the middle of that. So now let's have a look at our cumulative frequencies. So what is the 56th and the 57th match? Well, the first 9 matches are 0 goals. Then if we add on then the first 32 matches, we get to 1 goal. Now the first 58 matches, we get to 2 goals. So here, this number here, that is the 58th match. So where does this lie? Where does this lie in our table? Well, it lies in the 2s. You can see here, this would be the 57th match, and this would be the 56th match. So what we're looking at is pretty much this point here in between these two, and you can see that is definitely 2. So our answer would be 2 goals. Notice it's exactly the same as the median, and a lot of times they will be the same. So our median, well, that is going to be 2 goals. So just to recap what I did, we calculate the cumulative frequency, and then we take our total number of numbers we've got, we add 1 and divide by 2, and that gives us the position of the median. So let me just make that clear. This here is the position. It's not the median, it's the position of the median. The position of the median, and then we can look at our cumulative frequency column, and we can see, well, the first 58 matches have 2 goals, so it's going to be in that category. 56.5 is in this category, so it is 2 goals. Okay, finally, let's look at the range, and the range is probably the easiest one to calculate out of all of them, because the range, hopefully you remember that the range is the difference between the largest and smallest number. And we're looking at the range in the number of goals. So the smallest number of goals is 9, and the least number of goals scored was 0. So to calculate the range, we just do 9 minus 0, which gives us 9. So 9 goals is our answer. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of questions to go at. Here's the first one. So pause the video and see if you can answer these 2 questions. Okay, so the table shows the grade that different students achieved in their maths GCSE exam. So we've got the grade here and the number of students here. And it looks like, unfortunately, no one scored the top grade 9. But oh well. So question 1, calculate the median and the modal grade achieved. Well, first of all, the modal one, that's the easier one to do. So the most common grade, we look at the frequency and we can see the highest number is here. So that corresponds to a grade 7. So our answer is a grade 7 for the mode. Now the median is the middle number. So again, what we're going to do is I'm going to do another column for the cumulative frequency. And now we're just going to add all the frequencies together. So we're going to start off at 16. The first 16 students scored a grade 3. The next 27 students scored a grade 4. So in total, if we add the 3s and the 4s together, that takes us to 43. Then we're going to add on the 45. That takes us to 88. Plus 49, that's 137. Plus 50 is 187. Well, not 180, 187. Plus 13, I don't think I'm going to fit this in. I'll put it over here. That takes us to 200. And now we've got our cumulative frequency column. We can calculate the median, or first of all, the position of the median. So we've got 200 in total, 200 students. So the position of the median, well, we add 1 and divide by 2. So 200 plus 1 divide by 2, and that gives us 100.5. So that's the position of the median. We're going to look between the 100th student and the 101th student, or 101st student, I should say, and that will be the median. So we can see here, it's not going to be here, it's not going to be here, not going to be here, we're not quite there yet. It's going to be this category here. So that category, this position fits in this category here. So we look at what grade it is, and it is a grade 6. So the median is a grade 6. And you can notice that it doesn't really make any difference if I add 1 or not. There'll be some very rare occasions where it does make a difference. So I always like to add 1 anyway, just for good practice really. But most of the time, you can see here, it doesn't matter if it's going to be the 100th student or between the 100th and the 101st student. We still get the same median of 6. but very rare occasions it does make a difference. So finally, the range. So the range, the difference between the largest and smallest grades, well, the best grade was a grade 8, and the worst grade was a grade 3. So that's 5. And it's not a grade 5. We just need to be careful with our answers. Our range isn't grade 5, it's 5 grades. 5 grades. There's 5 grades difference between the highest score and the lowest score. Okay, one last question for you to have a go at, and this one you need to be really careful about the median. So it says the table shows the number of phones in a household. So there was one household that didn't have any phones, all the way up to 2 households that contained 5 phones. And it says calculate the median and modal number of phones per household. So again, I always like to start with the mode, just because the mode is the easiest one to do. So what is the most common number of phones? Well, we can see the highest frequency is 4, and that also corresponds to 4 phones. So the mode is 4 phones. Now let's have a look at the median. So again, I'm going to do my cumulative frequency column. So the first row is just going to be 1, and then we're going to add on 3. That takes us to 4. Plus 2 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. Plus 4 is 11. Plus 2 is 13. And now we can calculate the position of the median. So we need to add 1 to this number and divide by 2. So 13 plus 1 divided by 2. Or 13 plus 1 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we're looking at the 7th household. So we've got the first one, and then this is the first 4, the first 6. And then when we get to the 7th household, we're in this category here. So this category corresponds to 3 phones. So our median is 3 phones. And just before I go on to calculate the range, I just want to show you how important it is for this particular question to add on this 1. So if we didn't add on the 1, we would just be doing 13 divided by 2. We just half this number to find the median, and that would actually give us 6.5. So between, we could say the 6.5th position, or between the 6th and the 7th position. But if we look at our cumulative frequency, the 6.5th position, that's going to be between 6 and 7. That's going to be here. So what we would do is we would take the average of these two, or take the mean of these two numbers, and that would be 2.5 phones. But the actual answer, the real correct answer, is 3 phones. So you can see how for this particular question it does make a difference of adding that 1. Okay, let's finally look at the range. So the range, difference between the highest and the lowest. Well, 5 is the most amount of phones, and we subtract 0. So there was one household that didn't have any phones. So the range is 5 phones. So that is my answer. So I'm going to leave it there for this video, but like I said before, I will do a video dedicated towards the median and how we come up with this formula. So please stay tuned for that. And I'm also going to start looking at calculating averages from a grouped frequency table. So that's just a step on from what we've been doing here. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Take care.